Welcome everybody to Butts and Concessions. Oh my God, it's early. This isn't midnight. It's still daylight out. People in Boston are just going home. But like I said, welcome. I am your host, Topher. Hey. There's someone next to me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the one and only Al. He's going to be with me. Henceforth, why we're doing the really early show. Oh, I'm supposed to be sleeping.
You're fine. It's 5 o'clock. You should be awake and alert by now. Let's go.
The ruling, I guess, is it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and we're just showing it off.
Yeah, 5:01. If you had done that 1 minute earlier, that would have been perfect timing. But hey,
I know. So it's 5:01 somewhere. Okay.
There you go.
Welcome to episode 29 of season 2. Technically, it's episode 58. So yes, I am doing something completely wrong because I've done 58 of these fuckers. And yes, I know I'm not. I've told everybody I'm trying not to swear. I'm trying to clean it up a little bit and just offer some really dirty takes of things. At least I'm not offering dirty underwear. Okay, that's for something else. You can order that for $9.95. What? Something's got to pay for this stuff. Well, a lot has basically happened and gone on in Boston sports. A lot has basically gone on, period, all over town, all over states. People changing names, changing teams, kissing babies, taking names, doing everything that we do. I asked Al to be here because there's a friggin' lot, and I'd be here for like 5 hours if it was just me.
This is true.
Anybody want to see me? 5 hours? Hell. So, Al.
Yes.
Welcome to SSBNs, and I put that with a quotation. Oh God! One of these days, the boys are actually going to find out to the fact that like I'm just basically being me, and it's like really funny.
They won't care. They that's what they have you on the network for, to be yourself. So
because I'm basically the only one on the network.
Hey man, hey, listen, I'm not gonna get into that. You're doing your thing. That's all that matters.
Boys of SSBN. He's been on twice. You guys 0. He's in the lead. Plus we've got our 60th episode coming up. Can you believe to the fact that can you believe to the fact I've been on for like that long?
Yes, because knowing you, when you put your mind to something, you actually go above and beyond, which a lot of people can't say. So.
Okay, fair. So the voice of reason, Al, is with us. We're going to be breaking down a lot today, guys. What do we got? We got Celtics talk. We've got just a small little smidgen of Bruins. Why? Because there's been some cool stuff with the Bruins. Some swagger. How do you say no? The Red Sox State, which is everything that's basically going on, which Al loves. Also to the fact that he can actually suffer and take the wrath of my negativity. And then, of course, the Patriots. Why? Because between a lot of the stuff that's basically gone on with the Bruins, a lot of things that have basically gone on with the Red Sox, and also in the wake of the Celtics, we have not talked Patriots in a while. I like getting people's other opinion of the Patriots. That's why Al is here. All right. Al, are you ready?
Let's do it. Fire away.
I'm getting my chair dance on. I got my brand new chair. It's for hefty men. I have to make sure I can fit in something. All right. Let's get to it.
All right.
First off, on the chopping block. Well, what a way to make words.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So Drew Holiday traded to the Portland Trailblazers for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks.
Now,
I had to cover for you there.
I like the way Al positioned it. Al, and the other trade that we'll talk about after we cover Drew, I've heard a couple things. I want your opinion, which is like blatant.
Mm-hmm.
Salary dump. I've heard gutting of the team. I've also heard to the fact of imploding from the inside. And this is from a couple analysts at ESPN. I've heard some stuff of rumbling of like local news sources. One guy from Mass Live basically dropped it. The one thing from me that I'm basically getting to the understanding is it something we should be worried about? Or is it switching over from like how we felt about Bill Belichick? Is it in Brad we now trust because he seems to have a level head on his field?
Okay. So first things first, the NBA aprons have taken away the ability to make super teams. That's why they're doing this. The Celtics traded Drew Holiday for a couple of reasons. First of all, he's turning 35. He's on the decline. Now, granted, Holiday 2 years ago on the championship team was crucial. Everyone's going to remember the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 3, late fourth quarter steal to secure Game 3 and essentially secure the sweep. Everyone's going to remember that. The fact that Drew Holiday was going to be making around $35 million each year as a 35-year-old going into, I believe, his age 37 season, that's one of the reasons that he got traded. This was a salary dump. Don't let anybody tell you any different, because if the Celtics had it their way, they'd let Drew Holiday come back. Because guess what, Topher? When a couple of years ago, the Celtics traded for the other guy that we're going to talk about in a little bit, and I know everybody knows it, but you were still a piece away. And Marcus Smart, as much as everybody loved him, was not going to get the job done, minus Topher over here. Drew Holiday was the missing piece. And now you've taken away that leadership. So how are you going to replace it? Especially in a year where Jason Tatum is going to be sitting out. In my opinion, he should sit out the whole year. They're not going to win the title next year. That's fine. Just let the young guys play, retool, and then come back in 26, 27 with another chance to win a championship. That's what it should be. But with Drew Holiday, you lose such a key piece. And Anthony Simons, yeah, he's like a 37, 38% three-point shooter. Supposedly plays terrible defense. Maybe you can make up some of the scoring that you're going to be missing from Tatum next year. But I think that there's got to be something else coming, right? But you hate to lose Drew Holiday. He, in my opinion, is a Boston legend. He helped them win a championship, and he said all the right things, did all the right things, was involved in the community. So I'm going to miss Drew Holiday, and I'm glad that he was a part of the Celtics team for 2 years. But yeah, this was a salary dump. 100% it was.
So can I ask you a question? Because one of the things that you said basically hit to mind, and I'm not going to talk about the other person.
Yeah. You can ask me whatever you want. This is your show. You ask me whatever you want.
It is?
Last time I checked, it says host Boston Concessions in your little bubble.
Oh, I just thought this was Boston Concessions for everybody around Boston to, eat, drink, and be merry.
I mean, we do that anyway. So
this is true. When you have a 34-year-old, and of course he's making like 34, 35 million, how much of an impact does somebody's leadership take? And is there a price tag on leadership that can give a focus? And is, like you said, is that going to be missed in the locker room? And if so, is there anybody currently right now that can actually take up that leadership and keep it going in the form of that Drew Holiday has done?
So to kind of break it down, I think the first thing you got to realize is $35 million for a 34-year-old deteriorating guard is not the answer. And again, love Drew Holiday. But especially last year, there were several kind of bits of time where he was injured. He was out for, stretches of games, couldn't quite stay healthy. I think even in the playoffs, correct me if I'm wrong, Topher, I think in the playoffs he got hurt a little bit too. I think in that first round series against Orlando, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah, I think he was out for like a game or like a half a game.
Yeah. I mean, I would take Holiday for the next year or two at like 20 million a year. But I think 30 is a little steep for him, especially with the drop off a little bit, especially offensively. I mean, he didn't have to really do that with this team, but still, on nights where he was needed, he didn't really come through. I remember there was one night earlier in the season, a team let him shoot like 20 times because they knew he couldn't shoot and he was struggling to shoot. So when you put all that into play, I hate to see him go, but it's the right move logistically and monetarily. Now, who can replace him? I think one guy that not everybody's talking about, that I don't think anybody's talking about, Derek White. Derek White's locked in for the next 3-4 years. Derek White shoots well from the outside. Derek White is one of the best defensive guards in the NBA. That backcourt of him and Holiday was probably one of the best, if not the best defensively in the NBA the last 2 seasons. If Derek White wanted to take a step up in leadership, I'm betting everyone on the Celtics would be on board. He's been there. He's now going to be there. I think this is going to be his 3rd full season, 4th season in general with the Celtics. So now he has some tenure there. Tatum's not going to be there. Brown can only do so much. So I think Derek White's that next logical piece. That's currently on the roster. Just don't forget, Al Horford's a free agent right now. We don't know if he's coming back. Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of answers everything that kind of asked. But
yeah, I mean, the one thing I know I'll miss about Drew Holiday is, to me, in certain aspects, there is a presence that you always see. And I myself, I'm going to cross sports for a second. I know people don't like this, but when we talk about the Red Sox, like later on, one of the things I've always brought up, especially over the past couple sessions, is not only leadership, but also within that aspect, culture. And I think with having Drew Holiday in his mentality and his carry, Derek White is also a part of that. Al Horford, heavy a part of that. You actually see a culture that wants to win, wants to put something together, and it's an absolutely beautiful thing. I think even taking away the Drew Holiday piece, you're not going to see as much of an impact as other people think it. And it's as much as anyone or anything is basically going to look at that, there's always the positive here. And yes, Simmons would be that scorer, that adjustment. You get the two second round picks. That's amazing. And like anybody has stated, this is Brad Stevens turning burnt coffee into a latte with no problem whatsoever. And there's 3 wins that I see in the Celtics aspect with Drew Holiday being gone. Even though you kind of lose the leadership, you get what? You get salary cap relief a little bit from the luxury tax piece, which is what they needed.
Yep.
You also get a young kid with 2 years control this coming year and the following year, and it's basically a 25 million. And then you get 2 draft picks. The only other person I've seen to pull anything like this off is Danny Ainge, and he's with Utah now.
But Danny Ainge would trade for younger players, don't forget. He wouldn't be trading for these big stars. That was his problem in Boston. After the KG and Ray Allen years, he didn't really pull off the big trade anymore. Besides that one off season.
Well, in this case, he went from Drew Holiday to Simons, and what did he drop? 10 years?
Yeah, the drop off. Yes, the drop off's great. Brad Stevens has done an amazing job as Celtics GM. I mean, there's literally a list of just great transactions that he's made. With Danny Ainge, I was just saying that him specifically, he only had one good off season, and that was the KG and Ray Allen off season. Other than that, the only other thing that you could argue is the Nets trade that got the Celtics the picks to take Tatum and take Brown. I'll give him that too. Those are the two big ones.
And also him stockpiling picks like a motherfucker.
Yeah, and what good did that do? That didn't do good. But I think it's, again, and I said this off the top, it sucks the way the NBA is structured now, because guess what? The Celtics are going through it right now, but the Bucks are going to have to go through it, especially if they want to keep Giannis for the rest of his career. The Thunder are going to have to figure that out. The Lakers are going to have to figure that out. All these teams that are in contention are the Cavs in a couple of years, they are going to have to figure it out and make some tough decisions for their organization. The Celtics are just doing it now, so that way in a couple of years, they can go back to getting the superstar or getting that all-star that will be a good piece to help them get back in the championship contention. That's what the NBA wants. They don't want these dynasties anymore. They don't want the Bulls. They don't want the Lakers. They don't want the Celtics in the 50s and the 60s. They want variety.
So can I ask you a question? Because I know
if you ask me that one more time, I am getting off this call. You can ask me whatever you want.
That's a loaded question.
What's up?
What'd you have for lunch today?
I actually went to Raising Cane's.
Oh, that place. For some reason, there's the new one in Saugus and there's one in Medford.
That's the one I went to. Is the one in Saugus, right on Route 1.
It's like mirrored image. And the reason I ask, is because eating a meal is kind of like the same thing. When you're actually choosing something like great and like going on with it, it can be the NBA. How did you feel about the Thunder and Indiana in the finals?
It was good to see two smaller markets in there, because even last year, like Boston's a big market. Dallas, I'd say, is like a mid-tier market. It's not low, but it's not like the Boston, New York, LA, whatever. But Dallas has had a couple championship teams too, and they're building something too. They just got Cooper Flagg last night in the draft. So now when they're healthy, they're going to have Kyrie and Anthony Davis and Derek Lively and Cooper Flagg and Klay Thompson. So like they could, if they're healthy, they could give the Thunder a challenge in the West.
Yep.
So good for the mid-market teams. And you know what? The only other thing I'm going to say, we better put some respect on Tyrese Halliburton's name, because that was a generational run he went on in that playoffs. Unbelievable. I
actually can say from podcasts, I actually like Tyrese Halliburton versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. To me, it's a preference. I understand and I said this last podcast, he's one of the only few people. I think there's been 3 people, but it's happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times. So 3 other people, it's happened 6. To the fact when you win the MVP, you also have you get the finals MVP, but then you also put up like most points per for the year and everything like that. And the only other 3 people to do it were Michael Jordan 4 times, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was Lou Alcindor playing for the Bucks, and then the last person to do it 25 years before that was Shaq. So, okay, I'll give the kid credit, but if I'm putting Tyrese Halliburton next to him, no, Tyrese Halliburton made me want to watch the finals. Okay, there was something about him and the way he was carrying the Pacers. They could have been playing dog crap for all I know. And I still would have been like, oh man, these Lakers are, the Pacers are exactly what I want to see.
Who wins in a finals match, the 2024 Celtics or the 2025 Thunder? 7-game series.
2024 Celtics.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to make sure it was that easy. It's that easy. And that shows how good the Celtics were last year and how good they could have been if they stayed healthy this year. Because
I can break it down very easily, like even asking that question. It's you have a healthy Thunder, but you also have a healthy Tatum. You have Jason Tatum playing probably what I saw as MVP caliber in those playoffs. And I still say to the fact that Tatum should have been MVP over Brown. That was just my take. Okay. Jalen did a lot of the scoring, which was great. He took the reins with that. But if you noticed, Tatum was doing a lot of the background noise. He was doing a lot of the assists. He was doing a lot of the rebounds. He was facilitating everybody around him. And he was also getting the scoring done. He basically motivated team. You also had one main thing that the Celtics did not have this year that probably would have been a game changer in New York, facing the Pacers, and also probably facing the Thunder for a repeat. You had a healthy and ready to go Porzingis.
But how healthy was he? Because he had that mystery illness that it was basically like COVID, but it wasn't COVID.
Oh, it was New Yorkitis.
There you go. There you go. But like, again, how healthy was Porzingis? Because he was battling the long-term effects of that. And he stunk in that Knicks series. He's basically a no-show in that Knicks series.
Well, so I was talking about him from last year.
Yeah, from last year, yes.
Yeah.
And even the time when he got hurt in that playoff series last year, when he came back for game 1 of the finals, I mean, that was one of the most legendary performances in a one game of a playoff series ever that Boston has seen. At least for our time. I'm not talking the Russell and all those years. Like that was amazing. That was his moment in a Celtics uniform. But I mean, I don't know, Topher. I think with all this Porzingis talk, we might have to get into this next topic. What do you say?
Well, you know something? Like, we mentioned the guy, so why don't we just bring it up?
Let's bring it up.
What the heck? 3 teams gets this guy out of here? Holy crap. The sickness has spreaded, but I've had a take about Kristaps Porzingis, and it goes very simple. He came in, and it's something you said previous, and I'm going to bring it to the table. Marcus Smart. And if anybody wants to challenge me as to what was the cause of me hating Marcus Smart, easy. Everybody gave me crap. You're getting rid of Marcus Smart for Kristaps Porzingis. One of the biggest, stupidest things on the planet. Okay, fine. Let's see what happens first year. Hey, Al, what happened when they got rid of Smart?
They won an NBA title.
What? Why is that?
Because you actually, I know the answer you want to hear, but the answer that I'm going to give you is not what you want to hear. The answer to that is
It's a picture of A and B.
There you go. A stretch big that was great off the pick and roll. That was a rim protector that could shoot from the outside. He helped you space the floor that much better. And especially the post play too, when he was in the post, he had some of the best numbers in the post in the NBA. So when you bring that guy in and trade out Marcus Smart, who, by the way, is now on his 3rd team in a span of 3 years.
Yep.
So now you won that trade, and you got 2 firsts, I think, out of that too. So there you have it. And Porzingis, just to get into it, quick reaction to the Porzingis trade. I think it was more of a salary dump. Like I said, Holidays was a big salary dump. This was a bigger salary dump than Holidays trade. Porzingis, I think realistically, if they wanted to, I think the Celtics could have held on to him. But I think they could have reworked his contract or found a way to maybe have him take like a quote unquote hometown discount because he loved being here. But I don't think that was going to be the case. There were too many questions with the illness and the injuries and all that stuff. And I think Brad Stevens realized that at least right now, he got everything out of Porzingis that he wanted and more. And there's even a chance that a couple people reported that if Porzingis tests free agency after this upcoming season, the Celtics could re-sign him if they want to. And I think he would welcome coming back here.
Yeah, and I don't think he would make $30 million. And there have been people that have been traded otherwise that have always had the benchmark. But the one thing I would love to see, if after this year, if Al does not come back, I'm hoping he does come back. I would love to see Al in a Celtics uniform until the day he finally hangs it up. But if Al decides that his sneakers are going to the rafters, his jersey is basically like going to be enshrined in the garden, and I'm fine with that. Do you get Porzingis as your backup big that can facilitate a lot of things, but not have a workload that would make him uncomfortable? You don't have to pay him a large salary this time because you know to the fact that declining, sickness, otherwise, if this guy wants to come back, if he loves us as much as he did, because the minute he left Washington, it was like he fell in love with us, and it's like he's been in love with us for years. I'm all for that. Okay? Give me the love. And then everything he did in Boston, like his demeanor was almost like Drew Holiday. And that's what I loved about Porzingis. It was the attitude, it was the stretch. And if you look between like when he was with New York, when he's with Dallas, and also with Washington, you didn't see a lot of that. You didn't see a lot of happiness. You didn't see a lot of like, hey, I'm here to play a game that I love. He comes to Boston and that's his perception. That to me is beautiful. So, yeah, if Al hangs it up, he plays his year in Atlanta, he's a freebie and wants to come back $10-12 million a year, I do that in a heartbeat.
I would even do it at 20. I would cap it at 20 a year. I say, you know what, Porzingis will give you a 2-year, $40 million deal with a 3rd-year like team option. I would do that because when he's on the court, he is effective. You have to take the highs and the lows with Porzingis. When he's injured, he's going to be out for a while, but when he's on the court and he's fully healthy, he is a difference maker. And I think that's what people forget. But as of right now, I mean, you unloaded the contract, you're under that second apron, so now you can kind of rework the roster a little bit. And I still think another trade's coming. I think a guy like Sam Hauser could end up leaving. I think Luke Cornett's going to end up signing elsewhere because the team's going to give him ridiculous money. So in the end, the Porzingis trade, you get Georgie Niang, who I know a lot of people hate because he grabbed Jaylen Brown's like calf in that playoff series. But, you know, you got two second round picks. Maybe you use one of them in another trade.
But listen, if they're really belly aching, like this is one thing, and this has always been opinion with me. If you're holding grudges because somebody did something like a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away on the court, first off, get over it. Okay? I mean, yeah, Kyrie burned sage. He did everything. He thinks like the earth is flat. His time in Boston was a little memorable, but it was near the end where he basically burned everybody, like almost more than the sage he burnt around. But who paid for that afterwards? He did. But can you hate him as a player because now he's finding his older groove and everything with Dallas? No. But there are people that, well, Kyrie still sucks. Really? Then why is he putting up good numbers still? It's things like Niang. You look at it, you're going to say something about it. Great. Cool. Say something. If the kid comes in, does his job, makes a mountain out of everything, who's to say you're doing anything wrong? I'll take someone who can motivate this team for 500, Alex, because you have Jason Tatum out for the year. And by the way, I agree with you. I do not want to see him in a Celtics uniform for 2025. Be on the bench, be your support, be your guard, be everything like that you need, and motivate the team to go the next step up. Because in that mentality, you're building yourself to be on the level. 2026 is the year of Tatum. I have a feeling he's going to come back stronger. He's going to come back more wanting. And it's just that, what do they call it? A basketball Jones? When you basically got the itch to play the game. He's going to want that so badly. And I think that's going to be your Achilles heel that breaks everybody in the league. Because this man has been sitting for the year And it's like coming off crack. He's got that itch in the back of his neck. He wants it. He's going to feel it. He's on the court with the boys. He's blowing up everything as it goes. And he just wants to be there. So, yeah, my money is that. But, okay. Celtics did receive George Niang, future second-round pick. Okay. The Nets got Terrence Mann. The Hawks received Chris Porzingis. Who won that?
I don't think anybody really won it. Maybe the Nets. Maybe the Nets won that deal because the Hawks get an expiring Porzingis contract unless they plan on re-signing him to a long-term deal, which I don't see that happening. And Atlanta's usually like a fringe play-in, fringe playoff team. And then you have the Celtics that, they get George Niang, but he's not that good. Like, I'm not excited about George Niang and the second-round pick. Maybe the Nets won this deal. I don't know. I would say it's all kind of meh to me, this trade, because we know what it was. It was a salary dump. That's all it was for the Celtics. And you know what? Mission accomplished for Brad Stevens, and I'm good with that.
So in the midst of everything, where I've seen people who have talked about multiple things, is this a blow up? Are the Celtics just basically dropping the ball because Tatum's injured? You also brought up a topic that I liked, which is, are the Celtics done? There was rumors upon the draft that Toronto reached out with the number 9 pick, with a couple other options for Derek White. It was kind of shelved. It wasn't really something that was brought up. Do you feel to the fact that Brad Stevens, if he was given something that basically was so tantalizing, that he probably would have said yes? And I want to know your opinion on this, of a value that, and I know you said it during the Drew Holiday piece, but I want to know the value piece that basically you're looking at it with Derek White.
For Derek White, first of all, I don't think that Stevens was going to trade either White or Brown unless the package was huge. Like for the trade package. The trade package had to be a huge amount of picks, like an NBA All-Star at least. So like San Antonio, right? People were talking about the Jaylen Brown trade, a potential Jaylen Brown trade with San Antonio, where you got like Stephon Castle, I think it was Devin Vassell, and then the second overall pick. That intrigues me a little bit, especially the number 2 pick. If you really liked like Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper coming into this draft, then maybe Brad's like, you know what? We still keep Derek White. Tatum's coming back in a year. We can rebuild with this kid. If that would be a deal where I'm like, okay, I'm tempted. But even then I would still be like, okay, you got to give me one more piece. Now, Derek White's going to cost you at least you're going to need a first-round pick for Derek White. You need at least one first-round pick in there. That has to be, that's a non-negotiable. Like, you got to throw it in, or else this doesn't even get off the ground. And then, like I said, with Toronto, I'm not saying you're going to get this guy specifically, but like a Scotty Barnes, like that's a guy that you got to throw in a deal. You can't have a trade. And I know we're going to talk about this later in the baseball segment, but you can't have a trade for an all-star or a best player on the team for fringe players. You can't do it, because then you will get criticized, you will get mocked, and you set your team back. And that's why I'm glad Brad Stevens kept Derek White, kept Jaylen Brown, because it's back to 2022, 2023 all over again. It's White, it's Brown, it's Tatum. Those are your 3 foundation pieces. Now Peyton Pritchard is stepping up as the 6th man. You got another piece. Build around that. Get the bigs in here. Get somebody that can stretch the floor. One name I like that they're not going to get, but I would love to see him here, Miles Turner. He's going to be a free agent. I would love to see him here in Boston. Big body, a rebounder, a guy that can shoot from the outside. I don't think he's quite as versatile as Porzingis. He's pretty close.
How many years have we been taught? Like, I know I've only been like 58 episodes, but I've been on other podcasts. I've talked to like a lot of people, talking about sports for like umpteen years, just like you. one of the things I can even go back to our CGS days is how many times people have actually dropped the name Miles Turner to go to the Celtics.
I know.
It's like he's one of those guys that you just put in there, and it's almost like you're playing 2K insert year here,
Right.
and you want to start. You've got a foundation, and what's your big? Everybody goes to Miles Turner. Anthony Davis used to be the guy when he was younger. I've heard people mention Zion Williamson. I'm like, dude, if I want somebody that's going to make an impact, Tatum and Brown already make that impact. Derek White, he is your small big. He is your third big on the floor. As small as he is, he rebounds, he blocks, he makes you look small when he's the smaller guy than you. So that's your third big, which if there was like a power guard, that's Derek White in a nutshell. So you basically get three players. So yeah, your stockpile better to be huger than some porn star's crotch, because that's what you need in order to move the needle. And Miles Turner does move that needle, especially if you can get him in free agency. Especially if you can move it to where, hey, we will pay you, we will do this. And one of the things, if I'm Miles Turner, and again, this is just my thought process, when's the next time Indiana's probably going to be in the playoffs? Probably within the next year or two.
Oh, they'll be in the playoffs next year. They will be.
When are they going to be in the finals?
That's a good question. They might never get back. Because, again, think of all the things that happened. Donovan Mitchell gets hurt in the Cavs series. They played the Milwaukee series. I think Giannis didn't play. And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, you played a Knicks team that, fired their head coach and had no plan on how to get a better head coach because all the guys that they wanted, their teams wouldn't let them go interview. So it's like you had everything in place. And I truly believe if Haliburton doesn't get hurt in Game 7, Indiana has a chance to win that game. I truly believe that.
Yep.
But to answer your question, I mean, who is it going to be in the East next year? I think next year it's a 3-team race. I think it's the Pacers, I think it's the Knicks, and I think it's the Cavs. And then after that, I think it's pretty wide open because, like, look at the other teams in the league. The Nets aren't that good. Orlando doesn't have much scoring, and we saw that in the first round series with the Celtics.
But they are a young, growing team, though, too.
They are, but they don't have good shooters. It doesn't matter how young or old you are, and I get that. But when you don't have scorers, like you had Banchero and you had Wagner, and that's it.
Yep.
And I think the other Wagner was injured the whole year. So, but again, going back to the point, the East is going to be open. So who knows what's going to happen after next year? I think if the Pacers don't get back next year, it's going to be a long time before they get back. And if they lose Miles Turner, that's a big piece they're losing.
Yep. Which means they won't even probably make the playoffs because they just lost their big, and then they'd have to make up for it.
Yeah, they might sneak in as I'd say they sneak in as a 7 or 8 seed, maybe.
Yeah.
And they don't have Haliburton. I forgot. They're not going to have Haliburton next year because he's going to be out for the year. So you're right. They might. I take that back. You're right. They might not make the playoffs. I forgot Haliburton's going to be out. So you're right.
So if you're Miles Turner, would you go back to the Pacers if they offered you the money? Or would you look for somebody that would basically get you to that next step where you can actually continue to grow?
If they offer him the money, I would say go back to Indiana because, yeah, you miss out on a year. But when Haliburton comes back, if you keep most of that core together, you have a shot at, going back. But there might be a team and I'm just saying the Hornets or the Lakers or somebody that has the money to pay him. And then it's you know what? I'm going to go test, this other team. You're going to pay me a load of money? Give it to me. I'll go play for you.
It's like money versus money in a championship.
Right.
So, and I know you mentioned it, and then what we'll do is we'll move on to the other stuff. Your take on Thibodeau being fired?
It was the right call, right time. They could only get him he could only get them so far. And with him wanting to play starters for 40 minutes a night, you're not going to win in the NBA like that, especially with load management nowadays. I think Thibodeau is a good coach, and I think he should land elsewhere. But, it was time. That's what it was. It was time to move on, time to make a change.
And I know the reason why I asked this is because Tom Thibodeau, being a very good coach, very motivated, loved by his team, and the guys on the court, not the front office, of course, even though being the only Knicks coach in many years to actually show something of positivity with New York, which is very hard to do. And this is also us from Boston saying something good about New York. The question still goes, do you believe in Joe Mazzulla?
Yes, I do. I still do believe in Mazzulla. And Brad Stevens made it a point last night to say he's got multiple years left on his contract. Brad Stevens believes in Joe Mazzulla because look at his first 3 years. First year, gets him the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7. When he finds out a week before the season that he's going to be the head coach. That's pretty good.
He also took over an Ime Udoka team.
Right. But still.
Which was Udoka inspired, but it was also Udoka motivated.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically being handed. That's like somebody Bill Belichick on his third championship, building up the team, him retiring and stepping away, and then handing it to somebody with Tom Brady and company and being like, yeah, I won a championship with these guys.
But then look at the next. Yeah, but then also think about this. Ime Udoka inherited what Brad Stevens had. And Brad Stevens was getting those guys to Eastern Conference Finals and everything too.
Yep.
So to your point, Joe Mazzulla, second year, he has his guys on the bench, his system, everything. What does he do? He wins a title. And then the next year, through a bunch of injuries and everything, gets to the second round before his superstar tears his Achilles, and then he goes out in 6.
Yep.
So now it's like, and now going into his fourth year, he has the ultimate get out of jail free card. My superstar's out for the year. There should be no expectations next year. The expectations is if the Celtics win 45 games and win a playoff series, that's a successful year for them next year.
If they make the wild card, it's successful.
If they make the playing game, I don't know. I think the East is still pretty weak compared to the West. But again, I do believe in Joe Mazzulla. The big test is going to be not next season, but the following season, the 26-27 season, when you're supposed to be retooled. You're going to have Tatum back fully healthy. And what have you done with your roster at that point? Will it be like it is today, or will there be changes with much better players on it? You hope for option B, and then you say, all right, Joe, you got no excuses this year. See if you can get another title.
Yep. And that's basically where you're going to have to build yourself, where you're going to have to show your muster, where you're going to have to put everything to where it needs to be. And if you don't, then yeesh, it's going to be a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of a lot of work, I swear, somebody took a lot of work by going back to the future. And if you don't believe me, go look at some of the stuff that the Bruins have actually done with Charlie McAvoy and Michael J. Fox, if you haven't seen the video, with the Bruins jerseys. And I should have actually clicked this one. But if you're on YouTube with us, or you watch the repeat of YouTube, you're not only seeing my bearded ugliness and Al's beautiful shining face, but you're also seeing the absolute beautiful throwbacks that are now the current talk of the town for the Boston Bruins. I know Al's a jersey guy, and I'm not talking about new jersey. I'm talking about jerseys you wear. It's a huge difference. How do you feel about those?
Those are beautiful jerseys. I know old high school friend Kevin Majuri, who works at 98.5 The Sports Hub for Felger Mass. He was drooling over these jerseys, wanting them every day to come out. And now I see why. They are incredible. I mean, look at the way Pasternak and McAvoy look in those jerseys. But I'm also going to say this. Bruins fans aren't going to like that I'm going to say this. This could be a mini distraction for the season that's about to come.
No. Why would you say that?
I wonder why, Topher. I wonder why.
You mean this season could almost be as bad as having a logo piece that I don't think should be on a jersey at all?
I think it could. I think Bruins fans, and I could be wrong on this, but I think Bruins fans are still hurt by the Marchand trade. I mean, he ends up winning a Stanley Cup with the Panthers. That's great for him.
That's also a slap in the face.
It is. But Topher, didn't it almost feel like when Ray Bourque won the Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche? And I know it was a little different because Ray Bourque brought the cup to Boston for like Stanley Cup victory or whatever. But like, didn't it like kind of feel like that a little bit where it's like a beloved guy who's been with the Bruins his entire career? Yeah, sure. Marchand won one cup with the Bruins in 2011 with Bergeron in them. But didn't it almost give like flashbacks? And it's like, ooh, like so, in a way.
In a way, yes, but like two different constrictive pieces, and I'll explain the reason why. Going back to like when Ray Bourque was traded, one of the things that the Bruins saw was the fact that Ray Bourque was basically done. Right. Not only to the fact that he was done, of course, Ray Bourque knew his body was deteriorating. He was getting older. He couldn't do it a lot. He wanted to get like, it was basically what Chara was going through. That's a basic comparison of how I could look at when they didn't sign Big Z back, when they didn't do like a lot of things that they should have, and then Chara basically went to like one more team and then called it a day. In Bourque's defense, one of the things that the Bruins saw was, let's find a team, and this was how this was operated. Let's find a team that gives him the best opportunity to get to a Stanley Cup final and win. So that's where their direction was. They were all in support of Ray Bourque. They were all in support of getting him to a team that would benefit him. And they've got Jack in return for it. But again, where was the motivation of this? Oh, we care about our guy who basically one of our legends brought him in, worked with him, built him up to be who he was. And he was basically just like Neely. He bled black and gold for the longest period of time in his tenure as a Bruin. You show him respect on his name. So they sent him off to Colorado. What does he do? He motivates the young kids. He motivates even the pros in that level to step up. And with one of my all-time favorite goalies, Patrick Roy, you won a championship.
Right.
And it allowed Bourque to do something he always wanted to do in Boston, but it was a cap off to his career. He hoisted the Stanley Cup, and he was like a child. The difference between this and Marchand, though, I believe some ingrate asshat basically stated he was worried and concerned about how Marchand was deteriorating and wasn't doing everything that he could be doing, especially for the team. So I got to think about that. Is that on Marchand? Or is it on Don Sweeney?
Oh, it's on Don Sweeney. 100%.
Because this is the guy that said he was washed, but then he goes into the playoffs for Florida and all of a sudden becomes a 29-year-old again. He was a menace to the Oilers. He was a menace to anybody Florida played.
And so with that, right, mentioning Don Sweeney for a second, you're a huge Bruins fan. When does Don Sweeney finally get the hook and finally get fired? Because look at the past, we'll call it 3-4 years. Bruce Cassidy was here. The players, oh, Bruce is too tough on us. We need a players coach. Blah. Then he gets fired. They bring in Jim Montgomery, has that incredible 22-23 season. They don't win the cup. Then does another year. Then goes into the third year. Things aren't going well. He gets fired. So now you're on Marco Sturm, who's your third coach in like about 4-5 seasons. Right. Fart noise. Wet fart noise.
It's like the one you got to check your pants because you know it's like basically like just running down your leg at this point.
Correct. And I'll ask you really quick before I continue my point. Elias Lindholm, do you think he had a good year in his first year as a Bruin?
No.
Okay, how about Nikita Zadorov? Exactly. So
Big Z my ass.
So you see my point, right? The two big free agency signings that Don Sweeney had last year that's supposed to help retool this Bruins team didn't do it. Why? Because I don't think they're good fits for what the NHL needs. One thing I've seen about the NHL, it's a fast-paced game. It's all about speed. It's all about fast skaters on the ice. Zadorov is a big physical body. That's great. Lindholm, jury's still out on him in a Bruins uniform. But so far, it looks like swing and misses to me. So what do you...
I'll basically piggyback off what you're saying because I want anybody who listens to this, watches this or otherwise, to give and cater to this thought because I want somebody to like post it somewhere for me. Name one free agent signing that Don Sweeney has won on.
Free agency, right? Not a trade, free agency.
Yep. Because I'm cueing the Jeopardy music for this.
I can't think of one.
What is nobody?
Bingo.
So basically, me being a Bruins fan, I'll take the reign on this one. Don Sweeney, to me, and I stated this, and my mother called me out with it, and she asked me how I felt about it. And one of the things is, and I said on the off-air piece when we were getting ready, there's something of my past that has basically come to full fruition of the Bruins. When the Bruins traded for Cam Neely from the Vancouver Canucks to the Bruins, I was hooked. When I saw him in his first game and he literally punched out a Canadian, I was hooked. When everybody I was growing up with was, oh, Ray Bork. I'm sitting there wanting Cam Neely to punch somebody in the face and check them into the boards and score 50 goals because Cam Neely was a power forward. And it was just something that you didn't see. And he was the maker of that position. He was basically what you wanted in a Bruins uniform. And significant, it basically reminded me of the stories my mother told me about the 70s Bruins. You're tough, you score, and you basically beat the bag out of somebody who picks on your teammates. That's how I saw Cam Neely. Executive Cam Neely, I've always given him the benefit of the doubt and grown with. But here's the project that basically when they did their town hall, when they did a lot of things, Charlie Jacobs basically stated to the fact that okay, we need to be better. We need to go back to actually giving back to the community that are Boston Bruins fans. What did they do in that aspect? They raised ticket prices. They also wanted to give back in certain ways. So changing the state of the jersey goes back to old school Bruins hockey. Whether this was a Charlie Jacobs piece, whether this was a Cam Neely piece, it does seem more of a Cam Neely piece because he is the old tradition guy. So if this was a him thing, I'm for it, but it doesn't let you off the hook. Like you said, it's a huge distraction. In my eyes, the way I see the state of the Bruins, you're basically re-signing and going forward with Don Sweeney, who has been your Marcus Smart, your Jackie Bradley, in my eyes, to the Bruins, breaking everything down. And you're not getting to that next step because this guy can't get over the next step. And it becomes a problem. So do I blame Don Sweeney? For 80% of it, yes. But who do I rake on now the 90% that goes along with it? And yes, Topher math makes no sense with what I'm saying. but I will basically break it down very easy. Cam Neely, I'll say it right now, and I'll tag you on it later. I've loved you. I've met you 17 times in my life. You've been an absolute stud with everything I've been. But running this team right now, you are an absolute jackass. Okay? This is a Cam Neely run operation with Charlie Jacobs basically in the contention, and then you add the court jester of Don Sweeney. Okay? You need to get back to being Cam Neely. Not, this isn't Seabass running around Dumb and Dumber thinking to the fact that like you can just be an asshole and get away with it. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay? Is he really good with the draft? No. He can draft certain kids. He makes sure for certain things, and he's got some hype to him. That's basically where it goes. What has been his hype that he's actually done in the draft? Nothing yet. Nothing proven. Okay? And then what do they do during this town hall? They talk about to the fact of, the guy they wanted got drafted, and they had no backup plan. Who the flying hell goes into that without a second or third name ready to go? And you've got Don Sweeney with a thumb up his rear end, like he's waiting to get something, and like he's just waiting. Yes, master, I'm ready. I'll twist. Like, no. Don Sweeney has basically dropped the ball. I'd rather have Peter Chiarelli back, like of all things. At least he controlled the team. He went through, and there were big differences of where free agents wanted to come here. They wanted to where the spoke be. They wanted to be something along the lines of greatness. And a couple podcasts ago, I said it completely about Marco Sturm. He's a bum. He's not proven. He won a silver for Germany. Congratulations. This isn't the NHL. You've been an assistant coach where you've taken care of the babies for the LA Kings. The LA Kings have started to actually get better where Marco Sturm hasn't been there. That tells me step two. So either the kids didn't listen to Sturm, thought he was an asshole, or the fact that he gave nothing that actually motivated anybody. And especially, like I said, for Germany winning the silver, it's Germany. They're not slouches when it comes to the NHL. I mean, look at people around that area. Look at Yager, for crying out loud. You can go anywhere within Europe or anything like that. Like, you're going to find amazing hockey players. Some of them actually put the U.S. to shame. But am I going to sit there and focus on a lot of that? No. I have a feeling to the fact that Sturm is going to be 2 years done. And if Sturm goes, Sweeney goes. And if Sweeney goes, the question mark should be, does Neely go as well?
Wow.
I ranted my time.
Wow. Good for you. I can't even follow that. Shows how much you love Cam Neely, huh?
Like I said, I've met the guy 17 times. He's a wonderful dude. I mean, like, he's done a lot for the
hockey team.
Right, but he's brought a lot to the city of Boston. He brought a championship to Boston. He basically put the foundations to, hey, we're going to put this GM into place. We're going to get this coach. We're going to make things happen. Claude Julien was perfect. But Claude Julien, following a lot of things of like taking losses and doing things, he never adapted. Same thing happened when he went to Montreal. He worked well with the veterans, didn't work jack shit with the young kids. So where do you step on those boundaries? Someone had to be the fall. Claude Julien at the time took the fall because he was not coaching to the level he should have. And the Bruins paid for it. But since that win of a Stanley Cup, you've seen the Bruins go a little bit down and then flatline. And the option still goes very, very simply and easy. In what way, in any way, is this not only... I don't blame Joe Sacco at all. I'm not blaming him. He's been with the team for like multiple years. He's a local guy. I met him at my previous job because he had a flat tire. He actually brought his car in. We took care of him. Great dude. I'm actually happy that he signed on with the New York Rangers, with one of the older guys. Like he's basically set. But you still have the idiots running the asylum for the Bruins right now.
Yeah.
The idea of Marco Stern being a Band-Aid, no. I don't care if he's the next player. I don't care if he like massages your nuts while you're trying to like actually get the job done. The problem is controlling that team. And it starts with, I don't care how great Pasternak is. Okay. For some reason, he is all about him and getting his stats. I don't like that. Okay. You need to be team player. People want to put a captaincy on Pasternak. Why? Because he scores goals? No, I want someone to put Pasternak in check because he's being an asshat. And I think that's basically what broke the mold with Marchand. He didn't want to play. He wasn't feeling it. He has love for the Bruins. He's bleeding black and gold like crazy. But at times, especially when he lost that locker room with Marchand, not Marchand, when he lost the locker room with Bergeron, you could feel it. There was a difference when Bergeron left. And that leadership basically walked out the door. And there's been no leadership since. So who you put that captaincy on? People are saying McAvoy? No. There's a reason why our friend Joe calls McAvoy McAverage. He's not an above dude. He's not a below dude. He's right at the mid-level. Does that deserve captaincy? No.
I give you credit. You hit the nail on the head. I can't even add anything insightful or anything. I can't add anything to that, Topher. You hit the nail on the head.
One thing I've always been passionate about, like I said, I got bedtime stories about the Bruins. Okay? I got bedtime stories about Terry O'Reilly, about Bobby Orr, about Derek Sanderson, who actually ended up being one of my all-time favorite old school players. Because who goes in the stands and punches a fan out because like he's basically throwing crap at players? That to me was gorgeous. Besides that, these were also average Joes. They didn't have egos because they had basically full-time jobs during the offseason. I mean, Derek Sanderson bought a bar in Boston to make ends meet because he didn't get paid a lot to play hockey. You know, these are guys that were men. They were men now. Real men. None of this baby talk.
None of this.
Bunch of wallabies.
Oh,
speaking of baby talk, I'm done with the Bruins.
Are you? Are you sure?
Well, I'm not fully done with the Bruins, but I'll see how it goes. I want to see the jerseys and to close it out. Anybody still giving shit for Jeremy Swayman? Get a life, will you? This isn't Tuukka Rask 2.0. Get over it. But bringing up the baby talk, the baby talk will happen. So one of the things that has happened, Rafael Devers traded from the Red Sox to the San Francisco Giants for a package of basically unused unmentionables and something that could transpire in about 2 to 3 years. Al?
Yes.
I know you're probably hating the trade.
I hate it. Let me put it this way. I hate it from a production standpoint. That's how I hate it. You gave away one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter in the American League. You traded him for a prospect that was taken 1 pick after the guy you took in this past MLB draft in Tibbs III. Kyle Harrison, who is injured right now, but people are excited about. Jordan Hicks that has a high ERA. I can't even tell you the fourth guy. So from a production standpoint, the trade stinks out loud. Now, if you're talking from a culture standpoint, that's a little different. I think from a culture standpoint, this is absolutely the right move. I don't like Rafi Devers. I liked him as a baseball player for the Boston Red Sox, but as an actual teammate in the organization, no, because he lacked maturity for me.
Isn't this the guy who also came onto like multiple networks and said like he's a team player, his teammates love him?
I mean, look, it's just I don't know where you went with that comment. That was a wild comment. Who are you talking about?
Who you're talking about?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out with you.
I was talking about Rafael Devers.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Devers, get back to it. Devers, production, you can't replace it, but you can replace the in-house culture vibes. Now, this could also be the trade that gets Craig Breslow fired by the end of the season if he doesn't add anything at the trade deadline. Because if the Red Sox plummet, Topher, and they plummet so bad that they are well below 500. And I'm not talking like 4 or 5 games under 500. I'm talking like over 10 games under 500. So if they finish with a record, I'm just saying, let's say of 75 and 87, that could be grounds for firing for Craig Breslow if he doesn't bring in the pieces. If he doesn't bring in a bat, if he doesn't bring in another reliever, and if he doesn't bring in another MLB-ready starter. Because I'm going to say this. You're wasting Garrett Crochet's career. You're wasting it here. He's having a generational type season. And you're wasting it because you can't score any runs. Because the guy that you had that could score runs is no longer here. He's on the West Coast. He hit a home run today. He actually like pimped it into the other batter's box. The ball was hit so far. So again, I'm going to miss Rafael Devers' bat. I will not miss all the off-field drama. Now, was some of it the Red Sox fault, the organization's fault? Absolutely. Excuse me, but could Devers have also helped the situation and just been like, you know what? I got my money. They're bringing in an all-star third baseman. I can play first base. And you know what? It's not my fault. If I suck at it in 2025, they asked me to change positions. This is a no-lose situation for me. So sure, I'll play first base. Sure, I'll DH. But he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it at the Red Sox command, which in a way I understand. But at the same time, they're paying you $300 million, which now the Giants are. You better do it, especially when this is supposed to be the year when Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer and Christian Campbell get called up. And now you're supposed to win and you're supposed to be in a playoff spot. Remember, Topher, there were some people that thought the Red Sox could win the American League this year. That's how impactful. Yeah, there were analysts that said it with the Crochet trade, the Bregman signing, the Chapman signing in the back of the bullpen. Like there were analysts that said the Red Sox could make a run in the American League. American League's down.
And don't forget the other starting pitcher signing that was supposed to move mountains that has basically gone under a molehill.
Yeah, Walker Buehler.
So, granted, a lot of that I'm agreeing with. The one thing I have to say is Breslow probably going to be fired after this year. No,
probably not.
And the reason why I say that is because you've had Alex Cora, who has basically dropped the ball multiple times within multiple ways. Stands grounds for like certain things, does not stand grounds on others. He still has his job. He also basically was under scrutiny from MLB, let go for the year, and then brought back when they thought they were finding another manager. No, he just brought back Cora, and basically it was John Henry's way of like giving the middle finger to fans. That's my take to it. It's why I don't like John Henry. I think he's a dink. With a capital D and a capital K, because the IN is deeply in there. And I'm going to start using that for like certain people. Bottom line, in my case, Rafael Devers basically burned himself. It wasn't anything Breslow did. It was basically, I mean, Devers said it himself with like multiple interviews. Yeah, it sucks to the fact that like somebody got injured, but that's not my problem. It's management's problem to find somebody in order to do that. Well, yes, they went to you for help. They went to you to direct it. And then you have Jonathan Papelbon, who, mind you, this is episode 58, so of course it's Papelbon based. So of course we're going to drop his name. Did he think it was on Devers? Yeah. Did he think it was also on the Red Sox for certain things? Sure. Like maybe the context, maybe the way you talked to him, maybe the way you said something to him. It makes sense. But when you actually get down to the nitty-gritty, whose fault was it? Devers. Dude, all you had to do was take a couple grounders and let them trade for somebody and then balance it. You would have been fine. Okay? It's called shut your mouth, play ball. You didn't play ball. You didn't even shut your mouth. Okay? Basically, you stated something and then a translator just said, well, no. And you even said it. No. So.
No, I played third. That's what you said. I played third.
Yeah, you play third as well as a 450-pound guy playing shortstop is going to play. Suck it! When you're one of the worst third basemen, not just in the American League, not just in the AL East, in baseball, and you're getting $300 million, bro, you're just getting $300 million for your bat. You're not getting $300 million for your fielder. That's a bottom line of it. And I've gone through a synopsis between three players, between Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, and Rafael Devers. Who am I giving $300 million to? Two out of those three people. Rafael Devers is not one of them.
Yep, and they screwed it up by not giving it to the other two guys. They
Correct.
made a mistake with Mookie Betts and trading him. They made the mistake of not signing Xander Bogaerts, which, I mean, now in hindsight, it looks pretty good they didn't sign him to a big deal because he's not doing anything in San Diego. But that's, again, I think he would have done fine here.
Yep.
This was the only reason that they signed Devers in the first place was because everybody was knocking down John Henry's door and being like, Mr. Henry, you need to sign him right now, Mr. Henry.
What are the Boston people? What are the Boston people English?
Have you ever seen
Mr. Henry?
Have you ever seen Zolak and Bertrand? Mark the Beetle Bertrand does a spot-on impression of that. He also does a great joke, Stiglione, too. It's incredible. But anyways, you remember it. It was the Bruins Winter Classic at Fenway. And everyone saw John Henry, and they're like, when are you going to sign Devers? When are you going to sign him? Sure enough, a couple days later, they signed him to a big deal because it was a PR move. The problem, there's one problem that this all comes down to, Topher. You want to know what that one problem is?
Management getting too far in their britches to where they do not allow the proper executives to control what they need to.
You said it really wordy, but yes. The people in charge should not be in charge. John
Henry should be taking care of the money and shutting his mouth. And I mean, it's not
No.
like people.
No. He needs to go. He needs to get rid of this investment that he has because he has his other investments. He has, he has Liverpool. He has the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's looking to get into PGA. This stuff.
Isn't he selling the Penguins though?
He might be selling the Penguins, but he had them before. Yeah. Point being, he has all these other investments. He does it if he's not going to care about the Red Sox, which by the way, he's too stupid to realize if he keeps winning World Series titles, he will be more profitable. That's what he doesn't get.
Well, in my own John Henry way, like I've got to tell you, as soft voice as I am, that there's just something about the Red Sox that actually control. And you know, if I step away and allow my money to like be where it is, it's great. It's great. I mean, we've got other people that run the team. I mean, we got Theo Epstein back here, and you know, we have somebody who can actually do containment within, you know, Craig Breslow, and you know, I mean, if I step away and just like allow my money to be accessed, everything will be fine. Is that a true statement? Because I'm going to ask the question that basically, like, the reason why I lead up to that all the time. When you went back and you got Theo Epstein to come back in and be an intricate part of the ownership group, why did you do that if not to look over baseball operations while you were focusing on something else?
Because Theo wanted a check. He wanted an easy check, and this was the way to do it. Oversee not just the Red Sox, but oversee all the investments.
Right.
It was an easy way for him to make money. They don't care if he's relatable in the baseball part of it. They don't care if he does anything with that. What they care about, he cares about his cut of the pie.
And the other aspect that people forget about is, where did Craig Breslow come from? He came from the Cubs. So look at some of the ways that the Cubs were built. It took them a couple of years to re-educate and get back to, having a lot of guys that were manageable, that were young, and getting them to where they need to be. Henceforth, Marcelo Meyer being brought up to the majors. Roman Anthony being brought up to the majors. If you look at somebody else, they would have basically tried to get an MLB-ready guy, and they would have stayed down there for another 2 years if Chaim Bloom had his option, because Roman Anthony is his high prize possession. You can't taint him by bringing him into the majors. I don't care how many home runs he's doing. If you looked at who was the monkey that was before him?
Chaim Bloom.
Before Chaim.
Before Chaim, it was Ben
Cherington. He basically would have tried to sell off for one of those guys, because you do sell for A, you don't know if they're going to be successful or not, but this one guy is actually doing perfect monkey work over here, and he's making a killing at it. So hey, let's get rid of this guy to get this guy. What is one thing that Breslow did that's fantastic? Yes, he brought in Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman is probably one of the best right now for your bullpen. He is blowing it up, and he's doing fantastic. What's the other thing you did? You got Garrett Crochet for pennies, and then you signed him for quarters instead of what he probably could have made, which is $5 on a bet, to the fact that he would have been making a ton of money. So can I give him balance for doing a lot of massaging in that? Yes. Also, signing Tristan Campbell to the kind of soft, lucrative deal, even though he's back down in the minors again. But you're growing a lot of points that are going to make things absolutely great, and especially going forward. And I think if you run with Breslow another 2 years, you're going to see the marketing point that goes. But I don't think Breslow and Cora see eye to eye. There's something. Yeah. It's not like the Devers Cora hug that we've got going on in the YouTube chat. It's basically you're missing something of the piece, and I really think to the fact that Breslow is one of those pieces that Cora finds as a threat, and is trying to find every which way to get separated from it, and not just hey, I quit, but hey, throw me out the door because I think it's going to be that time. And I think that's why John Henry had to step in when the trade happened, had a lot of things go into play, and basically break it down to be, who is the guy? Is it Alex Cora? Or is it Breslow, who's gonna be able to do some changes? The one thing I can say is, when I started the year talking about the Red Sox, looking at it, it's a mirror image of last year. Different players, but the game's the same.
That was the last 4 years.
When I did the comparison from 2024 to 2025 for the first month, it was on track with a couple stats, within 1 to 3 runs, 1 to 3 point differences. There wasn't anything that was different that was the managerial piece, that you can't control games. You can't control pitchers. You can't control a lot of things. And that's Cora's Achilles heel. That's his break. Okay. He can't get that to basically get out of his own mind. That to me is basically, I said it beforehand, You need a changing of the guard. Cora either needs to step away, step down, and someone else needs to fill that role. I don't care if it's someone from outside the organization. I don't care if somebody finally steps up and says, Veritek, you're taking the reins. Shut the fuck up and do it. Okay. And yes, I did swear because there is a point to where like Jason Veritek knows he wants to be a coach. He's got to step up. He is going to be that guy that's well respected from the front office. He's well respected within players in that locker room. Okay. And he is one of the ones that's trying to still hold down culture for what was and what should be that Red Sox uniform. And Cora, I still say to this day, even though he won a championship, that was not his team. That was not his drive. He was just basically on autopilot. And he showed it within a couple things.
So one thing that I'm going to say that I haven't liked that you said twice now with two different topics is the coach and the manager inheriting these teams from different coaches and managers. That's just part of the process. I mean, there's nothing you can do. Like if you inherit a good team, you inherit a good team. Like the Red Sox, for example, right? You had the years where John Farrell was the manager of this team, wins the World Series in 13. They stink in 14. They stink in 15, win the division in 16, win the division in 17. They can't quite get to the World Series. So then Farrell gets the boot. Bring in Alex Cora. Cora, yes, inherits a team that Farrell coached. But he can only do what he can with the team that's put in front of him. Just like you said earlier in the show with Joe Mazzulla and Ime Udoka.
Yep.
Now you're going to laugh at this because I'm about to contradict what I just said and you're going to be all happy. At this current point, at this time, if the Red Sox got rid of Alex Cora, I would be okay with it.
So would I.
At this point. But you've always been like that. You haven't liked it since day one. I've been since day one a Cora guy, but now it's getting to a point where it's like it's stale. The message is stale, and the results are even more stale.
I can actually like throw like a monkey wrench in your comment though. I was a Cora guy when he was signed. However, when the allegations of sign stealing, with a lot of things that went through Major League Baseball, and then him basically denying it and then coming off to state, yeah, I did it. It's not a good look because it's basically, well, first off, you're lying. And then you're caught in the lie. And now to the fact that everybody's coming and blaming you for it because you're the position guy and you were basically the ringleader of it. You're taking the fall, but you're trying to be the patsy of it. And then just also the way the Red Sox handled it. First off, I don't condone cheating. I don't condone cheating in any which way. If you're a cheater, it's just the same way. If you get caught with steroids, you take the ban, you take everything. But does anybody really look at the player the same way? No. So Alex Cora cheated. He cheated as a coach. He cheated in the manner that also won them a championship and stole a championship from the Dodgers. That, to me, pure cheating, and you basically took something away from somebody. That's horrible.
So if AJ Hinch was the manager of the Red Sox, you'd feel the same way.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd feel the same way if the guy who was banging on that trash can, okay, or whoever was with the Apple Watch fiasco or the watch fiasco that they had to follow it up again. It's like, and then also point to this year. Was there not an argument during an Angels game about somebody sign stealing? Proof is in the pudding! So no, when that happened, and then like I said, the one reason why I think John Henry is a capital D, capital K, small I-N, because he is a pure in-dink, you made Red Sox fans actually believe, and Sam Kennedy's to blame for this as well, because he went along with it, and and everything as it was. You basically said you and Alex Cora had a mutual parting ways, okay? And now Ron Renicky is stepping in to be the interim coach. He's handling his business. And then after him filling in for this year, because Cora is going to serve his year suspension, you're then going to have a new head coach for the Boston Red Sox. That was the layout of the land, and that's what we were meant to actually believe. Here's one thing I have. The Red Sox and Alex Cora parted ways, so therefore he did not have a job. But yet he was serving a suspension from baseball for a year. On what job did he work? He didn't. He was let go. Mutual. 2, how do you know in that meeting? Because look at everything that played out. Mutual parting. Interim manager. Looking for a manager. Alex Cora is now new manager 2.0. How do you know during that mutual parting, Kennedy, Henry, somebody put in a wording, we're letting you go for the year because we know you're serving the suspension, but afterwards we're going to do a manager search and we're going to rehire you. You pulled the wool over the fans' eyes. It's heavy. It's right there. It's clear as day. And can I believe that happened? Yes. Why? Look at everything that this administration who's running the Red Sox right now has done. Writing's clear on the wall. And I said this, and I made the post on a tweet to Tony Maserati. I will not watch another Red Sox game as long as that man is manager. I don't condone cheating. I don't believe in the cheating. But I also don't believe getting the wool over my eyes as a paying Red Sox customer who roots for a team that has basically cheated their way into getting another thing in a sneaky manner and making them out to be like, oh, well, we're saddened about this. I don't care. It's your fault. It's your crap. See you later. Bye. And you know something? The only game I watched is when Chris Sale came back. His first game back from being injured and everything was the first and only game I've watched. Other than that, I have not watched a game.
And I've said this to you before. I think that's crazy. I think you can still watch the game and watch the team to be excited about the players because Roman Anthony is an exciting prospect.
Oh, I've seen replays of Roman Anthony. He looks gorgeous.
But seeing it in person, like not buying a ticket to the game, but watching it on TV, watching his presence at the plate, watching Marcelo Meyer in the field, even watching Christian Campbell in April.
Yep.
It was fun to see. And watching Garrett Crochet pitch every 5th day, beautiful. That's the reason I'm watching the Red Sox. I'm not watching for Alex Cora. I used to like Alex Cora. Now I think I'm indifferent about him. And I know you have your thing. You made it very clear. But at the end of the day, the problem with this team, besides John Henry, is who they're hiring to make decisions. The last true baseball guy that they had was Dave Dombrowski. And look what happened. They won a championship. Mm-hmm. And they won a championship in convincing fashion because he was a baseball guy. He wasn't one of these analytical guys that just cared about numbers on a computer. He had a sense of baseball. And that's what you need. Look at what the Giants did. They hired Buster Posey, and they're actually doing okay this year. He just took a big swing, no pun intended, at Rafael Devers. So now you should learn from that and be like, you know what? Yeah, Breslow was a former player, but he cares too much about what the computer says. Get a guy that has feel, or a woman that has feel for the game. Like Kim Ng, I would take her right now over Craig Breslow. I would.
I actually thought Kim Ng was going to be in, but going off of your prediction and kind of the vibe I'm also getting was Breslow wasn't their first, wasn't their second, their third, their fourth, or fifth. I think they had 5 people ahead of him that basically looked at what the Red Sox wanted to do and said no. And I also can't blame them. Can you?
No, I can't. Man. I don't know. This team, man, they can't get their foot out of their mouth. Can't get out of their own way. Sad. Really sad.
One day it'll happen.
Yeah, when we're long gone from this earth.
No, it'll be 2032 and like they'll win a championship again because somebody decided to like kick John Henry in the nuts. But Al,
yes,
you know what time it is in the show?
What time is it?
It's time to say goodbye. It's at hour and a half mark. I know you had another engagement, so I didn't want to hold you.
I got 5 more minutes. I can give you
5 more minutes.
I can give you 5 to 10 more minutes. I can give you.
All right, ready? I gotta get a timer because I want to do a timer thing.
Yeah.
Because I want people's like good takes in 30 seconds. So here's the 2-minute rundown.
Okay.
We'll call this the 2-minute rundown. You ready?
Let's do it.
The Patriots have basically come off, and yes, we are switching sports. The Patriots have basically taken a huge direction. Moved on from Gerard Mayo. They now have Mike Vrabel. A lot of things we've talked about today have been culture. The culture looking at the Patriots right now looks completely different. It looks like someone just molded these guys from clay and hardened them, smoothed them down, and they look like pure stone statues ready to pounce and kick someone's rear end in. Everybody from the defense to the offense to the steps. Stephon Diggs looks fantastic. The other wide receivers are somewhat, because a couple reports have basically come off and said Stephon Diggs coming off that ACL looks much better than the other guys. And he's also older. Drake May looking fantastic, getting married. Christian Gonzalez coming back in, making the defense more poignant. All the way down to like their number one pick this year in the NFL draft, Will Campbell, looking fantastic and making promises to protect his quarterback, which just gets me grounds for excitement. Henceforth, why I yell. In 2 minutes, Al.
Yes.
Give me your take on the Patriots.
Okay. So I'm looking at the timer. We're going to start at 1:33:45, which is right now. Okay. So offensively, the Patriots are going to take, I think, a significant jump next year. Drake May, the second-year quarterback. He's seen NFL defenses now. He has an actual offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels that people shit on when they brought him back. But you know what? He knows how to run an NFL offense. I don't care what anybody says. He will be successful here. And if he doesn't, I will be happy to eat my words. Not the first time I've had to do it. I think you actually brought, besides Stephon Diggs, you brought in Kyle Williams, a rookie that I think is going to make significant impact. I think Pop Douglas is going to make significant impact. After that, it depends. And also at running back, no one's talking about TreVeyon Henderson. TreVeyon Henderson is going to be big in the run game. And bold take for you, Topher. I think by October, Henderson's going to be the starting running back for the Patriots. He's got to sign his contract first, but I think he's going to outplay Ramondre. I really believe that.
I would also not bet against that too.
Right. And also, it's nice to have a functional left tackle and right tackle going into this year. Will Campbell, hopefully he's as advertised. And Morgan Moses is a 34-year-old vet, but they're functional. They'll protect May. The defense, they want to play violent. They added so many pieces this offseason. Milton Williams, the big prize in free agency. They added some pieces in the draft as well. I know the draft was mostly offensive heavy, but still, and especially, again, with free agency, like I said, Milton Williams brought in, Robert Spillane you brought in, Carlton Davis you brought in. The defense is going to be good. Terrell Williams, defensive coordinator, going to be a little questionable. First time running a defense, I think, by himself. But you know what? The defense is going to be good. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be violent. And with special teams, You got the kicker from Miami that didn't really miss a lot of kicks in Miami. It's going to be nice to rely on a guy that can actually hit extra points and field goals. And the special teams, I think, is going to be just fine too.
Now, within that 2-minute drill, you said one word twice. And I want the reason why you use the word. You use the word violent. Now, I've heard this word just recently within how things were brought to how the Patriots defense was going to be run, operated, and where their expertise was going to be playing it. What does that word right now mean to you? Because someone who's not a big Patriots fan or even a big NFL fan, they're going to think like, oh my God, they're going to like throw hits heavily. They're going to like be like, that type of guy. But when you use the word violent, what pertain like are you going for it? And what does it mean to you when you utilize it?
Aggressive, but smart. That's what it means. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to try to do everything in their power to slow down the opposing offense, wear out the offensive line, and get to the quarterback and make the quarterback feel pressure more often than not in a football game. You remember last year, Topher, against the Rams, when the Patriots sent an all-out blitz, they sent about 8 guys to Matt Stafford. They didn't even come close to him. And that led to I think it was the Cooper Kupp long touchdown in that game.
Yep.
That's when you knew, like, they have no pass rush. They have nothing. And I mean nothing. So you boost up that defensive line. You get Christian Barmore back healthy. Keon White, I think, is going to have a bounce back year. So you have Barmore, White, and Williams on that defensive line. It's going to be hard to game plan against that defense.
I'm looking forward to it just because, like, Christian Gonzalez, I liked watching him his rookie year. I was really bummed to the fact when he got injured. Just to the fact that this kid has so much upswing, I want to see him with a full year, with his growth, with working with like other people, making sure like to the fact that like what he gets, probably one of the better picks that the Patriots have actually done in multiple years. I do like the running back they signed. I do like the wide receiver they took. It's just to the fact that, like, in a Josh McDaniels system with a first and second year quarterback, I mean, like, let's put it this way. Like, he made Mac Jones look like Mac Jones could have been something. And then, of course, Mac Jones went out and, you could blame it on Belichick. You could blame it on Matt Patricia. You could blame it on Joe Judge.
He ended up showing he's not good in this league.
Yeah. So like, it's, and of course now he's on my secondary team, which is San Francisco, which kind of, throws shade to my wind. But Josh McDaniels did make a quarterback look like he was presentable. Now Drake May, he already made himself look presentable with, kind of crap. So what's the better option right now? You're gonna have Josh McDaniels, who is basically almost a quarterback whisperer. How he was with Tom Brady, how he worked with Tom Brady, in and out with Tom Brady. It was to the fact that Tom Brady was calling his own stuff and basically focused on a lot of things that he did, which Josh McDaniels putting everything around Brady. Now, over time, can Josh McDaniels do that with Drake May if he's got the quarterback intelligence? Yeah. So it's always going to be about, like, how the person handles the situation and then grows with it. That's what I want to see. So far, everything you said within the 2 minutes was right on point. The offensive line, upgrade. The defensive line, upgrade. You've got the linebackers and defensive backs that are basically, you got rid of a couple pieces, but then you gained a couple pieces. You gained experience. You gained perfectly aspects that are going to grow this team and make everybody go, in the words that you said, violent, which is where I want to see them be. Like, because New York, everybody but the quarterback on the Jets right now looks a little scary. Buffalo is coming as advertised, whether or not to the fact that the team takes a step down because they really didn't grow anything, but they really didn't lose anything either. You've got Miami, who I still don't trust the coach. I think he's a bum. Tua Tagovailoa, he's only as good as the wide receivers around him. That basically goes with it. And even if Tua goes down because the team is catered around Tua, you've basically showed what you are when you put one or two quarterbacks in there. You're a nobody team, henceforth why they didn't make the playoffs. So, can the Patriots possibly take the East again?
Couple years,
feasible.
yes. Couple years, yes. This year, I still think it's Buffalo's to lose. Let me tell you something. The Patriots have a good season this season. They go 10-7, make the playoffs. Maybe you win a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Robert Kraft will look at Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf and be like, there was progress here, legitimate progress. Let's go all in to try to get back to where we were.
Huge steps, which is what you need with this Patriots team. Because I think this is probably going to be between Vrabel coaching, the product that you have on the field looks better than the past 2 years of a Belichick ending era and everything that you had on the table with Gerard Mayo. And also, I use this word again, culture, because if you look at the way Gerard Mayo's body language, which I didn't like at the beginning of the year, I didn't like at the end of the year, I didn't like in the middle. Body language from preseason to during season. Right now, we're just in preseason, and Mike Vrabel's body language is so positive. It basically radiates to where I could go do 15 things I need to get done in my life because I'm looking at Mike Vrabel and I feel positive. Yes, it's that radiant. It's flowing over here.
The Patriots hopefully will be fun again to watch in 2025. The last 2 seasons, it's been a joke. Hopefully that changes, and I think it's gone in the right direction so far with the right head coach, the right people in the organization, and the right players. Now it's just about executing on the field. And their schedule is a lot easier this year, so they have a chance at it.
So somebody said something, and we'll end with this. I heard a phone call on one of my favorite shows, and one of the things is somebody asked, which team do you think is poised to win a championship next? The Red Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics, or the Patriots? Making Al think.
I think it's still the Celtics, because the Celtics are a year away, because they're going to have Tatum back and everything else. The Red Sox, I would have put up an argument for the Red Sox a couple weeks ago, but can't do that anymore. The Bruins, I mean, you said everything that was wrong with the Bruins in your rage-filled rant, so we know it's not that. And the Patriots, I mean, there are too many good NFL teams right now. Like the Chiefs are still good, obviously. The Eagles are still good. The Commanders took a step up. The Ravens are good. The Bills are good. The Bengals are good. Like there's so many teams in front of the Patriots and that's why I set the 10-7 foundation for this year. So I think it's the Celtics. What do you think?
I basically have Celtics at number 1. With possibly the Patriots on number 2. The reason being is because the Celtics, like you said, are a year away. And what's to change with the Patriots and the culture going forward to the fact that when you hit that year stride and you're getting Tatum back, and 2026 being the year of Tatum, basically implementing that he's going for that, banner 19 now, or is it going to be officially banner 20?
I'm trying to think. Just say that again, just because I came in and out for a sec. Say that again.
Is it banner 19 or banner 20 that the
You're going for 19?
Okay. So you're going to go for 19. That, Tatum is basically going to have his eyes set on because he's going to be out for the year. The Patriots are basically going to be growing to where if they are a 10-7 team and you do have the capability of what they're showing to be the real deal, and you just get better from there and you age properly like that fine wine that grows, that's your next championship. The Red Sox have some building. Getting rid of Walker Buehler, making the steps in the right direction with Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, basically getting Campbell back into play to where he comes back into the major leagues, getting Bregman back on the field, making sure he can actually sign the deal to come back again. instead of opting out, because I think to the fact that like doing year 2 might be like a little bit of a difference maker. Getting another pitcher to like actually step in with Garrett Crochet would be huge. Then you can start talking about off-season like plans, but also postseason plans, because that's what the Red Sox need. And then, of course, the Bruins, you're right. My ranting and everything like that, the Bruins need basically more of an overhaul than just their jerseys. They need to make something stick. They need to also get that culture back that makes the Bruins exactly what they are. Big, bad in a good way, and making them ferocious when they're on the ice. That's what they're missing. So in that order, there it is. Celtics, Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins.
I can get on board with that. I like that.
I do too. And it's a good place to like actually like do our junction. So I state this as any time. It's always a pleasure to have Al here because he keeps me grounded. He keeps me level-headed. He keeps me in a manner that I actually think about baseball, football, basketball, and hockey, and I still get that joy feeling in my shorts. There's only so many times you can make a dirty joke, and my shorts are dirty right now. I also do it because I've been told it makes Al uncomfortable, so he giggles. Al, I've always said it. You're always welcome. You can knock on the door at any time. You can come give a 15-minute take and bounce. You're always welcome in the door anytime you'd like.
Appreciate it.
And Al, where can we hear you besides coming on and saying hi to us?
Yeah, so I'm not active on Twitter as much anymore, but I've been getting back in the game a little bit lately. As you can see in my little bio right there, at BigAl2793 on Twitter. And then I do a Patriots podcast with 2 co-hosts, Mike Sullivan, Liam McDade, both from the Couch Guy days. And they're actually still on Couch Guy. Check us out on all the platforms, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and everywhere else. So, and actually, I'm going to be jumping on a recording for that soon. So be on the lookout for a new episode. Topher, appreciate you, buddy. You're doing great things here. You really are.
I try to, as much as I can. It's, like I said, almost at episode 60. Going to try to get a wide variety of like things. It's going to be like my celebrating 50, but it's 50 plus 10 is the basic way to look at it. But shout out to Jonathan Papelbon for wearing number 58 and being the hindsight of our stream today. But until we talk to Al and all of you again, Al, thank you as always. I'm your host, Topher, for Boston Concessions. We are an SSBN podcast. Those lovely boys down in Rhode Island, even though they never get on the show, one of these days we'll have to. And I'm still going to make a mockery of them and like call them out because it's fun and I love them to death. I will at least say that it's in all good fun. Okay. Until someone throws an egg and then it's all out war. But until then, we will see you again on Sunday. Al, good luck with Tuck Rule Takes.
Thank you,
and
sir.
To everybody else, have a good rest of your day. Take care, everybody.